without the Nigerian youth. The February 25th, 2023 Presidential and National Assembly elections have been held, as have been the wont of Nigerian officials who have no balls to allow free and fair elections, vote count, and result announcement to happen. The vote tally and announcement have been delayed yet again. In 2015, President Goodluck Jonathan was leading in the votes until INEC went on break and returned with Muhammadu Buhari sweeping all the votes and becoming the president of Nigeria for 8 years, setting the country back for more than 100 years in his 8 years of administration. The 2023 elections started out with the same characteristics. We have candidates who are young and upwardly focused versus septuagenarian candidates who are facing their graves with no vision of what is a good future for the people trapped in the contraption called Nigeria. They were either wooed by tribalism or bribery from the old hags who have no conscience and no desire for the development of the country. 2015, which is a whopping 8 years in a self-imposed mediocrity, rogue and bloodletting administration has befallen us, and we bore all of it. Once bitten, twice shy, they say. The Nigerian youth and the populace have identified with Labaja's musical video, which he titled 200 Million Mumu, allowing 2015 to repeat in our eyes is the height of Mumuism and the Iberiberism, according to the cerebral Charlie Boy and the Iberibe, former governor of Imo State. Otherwise, how do you explain, or how can we explain, the fact that as we speak, the Nigerian youth has not yet occupied the INEC offices and collation centers nationwide up to today, while the results of the elections held on Saturday is still unannounced, while INEC in the presence of what happened in 2015 have also gone on recess, abandoning the work of both vote count and announcement of results? Or do we not know that the orchestrated irregularities and current delays in the vote count and announcement has been the long-standing rigging system of the Nigerian authorities? It is so embarrassing to be a Nigerian at this time. And Nigerians who have kept quiet and allowing all of these things to continue confuse people like me. How do you call yourself a citizen of a country and you cannot demand for accountability from those who have taken over authority, who have taken over the mandates, whether you gave them or not, but they have the mandate in their pocket, and you demand no accountability from them? What kind of a citizen are you? Or it is only in Nigeria that what is happening right now will happen, and then the Nigerian youth, the Nigerian people have not gone out en masse to occupy all INEC offices, occupy all collation centers, and demand immediate continuation and conclusion of vote count and announcement in these elections. I do not know how we got ourselves to this point. And when some people have decided to raise their voice on matters like this, the conclusion of people who lack information of what this country is run on, the type of country that is called Nigeria, will come out and either to the tribal line or to the line of ignorant people. Perhaps Labaja is a prophet of a sort. He has said in his 200 million mumu that you can subsidy Nigerians, you can kick them, kill them, jail them without cause, do anything to them, and instead of reacting or responding to the evil by the government people, they will shout, praise the Lord. Many people that I know are calling on God to save Nigeria. In other ways, they are aware that Nigeria is in trouble. People like Yakubu Gowon, who used their hands to create what we have today in his contribution to leadership in Nigeria, rulership, not leadership, in Nigeria, has, until recently when I have not heard of him again, many years back, a few years back, was leading the whole country to prayers, national prayer, national prayer. Every year he will start the jamboree, national prayer. What kind of prayer are you praying? What do you want God to do for you again? God has given Nigeria resources that no other country in the world could have. Giving Nigeria population, many people. Population itself means money. Population means power. It was the cerebral Muhammad Gaddafi, who said that he just shocked and embarrassed by the fact that Nigeria has so much people with bad leadership, with poor leaders, with people who cannot lead them, and prayed that he could himself have that kind of this number of people, and he will use the effectiveness and the impact of these several millions of people and large land mass of Nigeria and good vegetation to create wealth for everybody. Many of us are witnesses today that Muhammad Gaddafi has become or is and truly can be consulted and seen as a prophet of his time, a good leader of his people, in spite of all the bad names that were called of him. Since he left power, since he was killed, murdered by people who were used by foreign interest groups, Libya has gone down the drain and nobody hears about them anymore. Muhammadu Gaddafi once visited Nigeria, and in his address in the visit, in the presence of Nigeria's rulers, he said, it is confusing and insulting that Nigeria will have so much and no good leadership is coming forth of it. And I think part of why we have bad leaders is because we have bad, terrible followers. Nigerians have become the kind of followers that do not understand, how you will be a follower of sorts. Way back, when people like us make contributions, question authorities, and ask for accountability, we are considered as bad people. Friends, family, everybody will be calling you from left, right, and center. Oh, don't talk unless they kill you. What is this fear of dying that Nigerians have? What fear is this? You're already dead. Look at the last few days before this election. Every Nigerian was impoverished. Every Nigerian was made to become a fool. Every Nigerian was made incapable of taking care of himself in the name of changing the color of the naira. For interest, when we check it, has no national value. Oh, Nigerians, what is this that you are going through? You are dead and you are afraid of death. What kind of fear of death is that? Now, as a man who has children who are currently Nigerians, I worry of the kind of country where they will be. Many years ago, my wife cried and said, hey, this country is going down the drain. We find a country for my children. That her cry is still ringing in my head till today. And I don't know what to do. But Nigeria can become a country and possibly a nation where people will find their true enrichment, because the resources to make that happen is on the ground. We don't need to look for it. It's not far away. It is right there by our feet. The resources is not one resource like oil, where everybody is basing all their this thing, because that looks like a cash cow and rogues in power. Rogues Even those outside power are all struggling to get into power for the purpose of putting their hands on the oil money, when the oil money is not even up to 1/10 of the resource power of Nigeria. Nelson Mandela mentioned this many years ago. He said, no African will be respected in the Committee of Nations of this world until Nigeria gets it right. And that is true, because there's no other country in Africa that has the resources that Nigeria has. And yet, year in, year out, using elections, we beguile, we becloud, and we confuse the people who are residing in that place that, oh, this election is going to bring hope. Year in, year out, even if it is from 1999 alone. But for all of us who are old, who knew all about all the elections from 1960 to this time, we know that each of the elections raises hopes, and then somebody gets there, forgets those who fought, who died for him to get elected. The young people who are getting into politics are not even getting into politics to change anything. They are getting into politics for their own chance. This is not how a country survives. It is not how a country survives. Personally, I don't know how much care I have about the survival of the country called Nigeria. I really don't bother about its survival, because the existence have been useless to everybody, even those who have accessed power and stolen massively from Nigeria. Watch them. The money they stole, all will be lost. They have lost them. They are going to, the money will make them sick. They will suffer before they die. So what is the purpose of all this stealing? Here is what I have found out about those who have been ruling Nigeria. They rule Nigeria as rogues, steal everything, and then they leave. They become a hiss. We forget them. History forgets them. And then all their children will hide. Tell me any former Nigerian ruler whose son or daughter is in any position of importance, whose son or daughter can come out openly and, stand proud and in public about being a Nigerian. So they steal everything they can steal, finish their rulership period, they become a hiss, and their children hide. So what's your benefit? The way Nigerian is run this time doesn't benefit anybody. But let's leave this preaching about that part of Nigeria. My worry right now, and the purpose of coming online at this time, is that the youth need to raise their voice. And I'm running this on the program of Youth Voices for the 2023 general elections in Nigeria. The youth must speak. This is their time. See, I heard that Bola Tinubu said this is his turn. Emiliako or something. I'm not a fluent in Yoruba to know how to pronounce that. But he said that in public, that this is his turn to rule in Nigeria. That is not true. Bola Tinubu is not anything less than 80 years or 70 something, which means he's on the other side already. What about the 12 years to 45 years age people who are the largest population in Nigeria as we speak, and somebody who is 75 is controlling the affairs of your life, who cannot see beyond his nose, not to talk of seeing tomorrow, which is so important to you as a young person? That person is going to rule you. No, it is not Tinubu's turn. It is the turn of the young people of this country. And this is the time for them to speak. And the main point I want to let us know, and before I make that point, we have many people viewing this event. I want you to leave a comment, leave a question, and don't bother if you are not happy with what I'm saying. Tell me you're not happy. If you think I'm wrong, say it. But I just want comments. I want to know what the Nigerian youth and those who are viewing at this time are saying, because we are broadcasting our 2-3 channels, and we've seen so many people coming through those channels, both YouTube and Facebook. There's a Facebook by my name, and there's also a Facebook by the African Town Hall, and of course the African Town Hall YouTube channel. So that's where we are coming from. Whichever part of it you're viewing, we want you to say what you feel right now. We want you to say what you feel. Okay, so leave it by the comment there. Let's see it. And if you have a question, ask it. Let's answer it. This is not going to be a long broadcast. Now, let me repeat the key issue that brought me online today. It is the fact that previously in this country, the authorities, those in power, have manipulated the electoral process, creating different kinds of problems that supposed not to exist, all calculated to rigging the election. They have done that variously. That's number one. Number two, in 2015, which is not so far away, 8 years ago, it was just done in our own presence. The elections have finished, the results were being collated. All of a sudden, and first time in the history, INEC said they were going on break. And when they returned from that break, we know what happened. But I'm not a member of any of the political parties, don't intend to be. But it was clear that Goodluck Jonathan was leading, even in Kaduna, even in Buhari's Katsina state, before INEC went on break. When INEC returned, all the results across the country were turned over to Buhari. Buhari now had landslide from every location, even in places he was coming far behind Jonathan in the elections. It happened just as recent as 2015. And that incident alone put us in the quagmire that the country is inside today. Everyone in the country is crying. As I talk to people across the country, when we discuss, all I hear is them moaning, we're in trouble, this suffering is too much. What are you going to do? Will you keep quiet? Mrs. Jonathan asked many years ago. Nigerian youth, Nigerians, even all Nigerians, will you keep quiet? And INEC went on another break. And my question is, which requires answers, is why is it that Nigerian youth have not, as we speak, occupied all INEC offices nationwide and all the collation centers nationwide to ensure that 2015 does not repeat? Because if 2015 repeats again in this life for us, this country is going down the drain. Right now, many people condemn people like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Oh, he's trying to tear Nigeria. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is trying to save Nigeria. All that is pointed at, all of them are happening. And from the beginning, my own plan was not to come and begin to talk about how good Nnamdi Kanu is. But if a man stands out for the truth, in my head, in my mind and heart, he's a prophet. Nnamdi Kanu had turned out to be a prophet. Everything that is happening today, he predicted that is the Nigeria you guys are inside. And INEC has gone on break again. 2015 is not far away. And whether they are returned and continued, as we speak, the only thing everybody say, oh, this election is being rigged. What did they do different from what they have always done? Nothing different. So I need answers to the question. And you can leave your own answers in the comment to this post, to this video, live broadcast. Why is it that INEC offices, collation centers have not been occupied by Nigerians to insist that the result be finished and announced? Why did we allow this large gap? Are we going to be happy to have 2015 again and another 8 years of that dreadful season in the history of Nigeria, when we walked into fire that had destroyed every part of the country? Insecurity is everywhere. Abdul Salami Abubakar Center for Peace and Conflict says that over 600,000 automatic weapons are floating in unauthorized hands. And of course, we know who is flooding the whole country with all those weapons: the Fulani, so-called Fulani herdsmen and bandits. Now, Nigerians, will you keep quiet? Quoting Mrs. Jonathan, who said that many years ago, and all of us kept quiet, and the wool was pulled over our eyes, and where we are, we can't even collect our own money from the bank, not to talk of any money to be paid to us, even when ordinary transfer electronically is not working. Have you even thought about the data quality in Nigeria? It cannot even carry a broadcast. For me to be able to broadcast, I have 3 modems. If this breaks down, I put this one. If this, because it breaks down in the middle of broadcast, I keep changing my modems, the data modem, because there is no quality service. Maybe Nigerians don't even know that their data level was reduced to 2G at some point in this country. Of course, Lai Mohammed said they were going to do it because Nigerians are talking too much on social media. Can you imagine a rulership that will not allow its citizens to talk? How do you get the feedback of what the people need? But this is how far we want to go for this night. Remember, the question is, how is it that we're allowing 2015 to repeat in our presence after we know what 2015 brought upon us as a country? Nigerians, wake up. Thank you. And I appreciate all those who have been viewing. I actually would like to have your comments. So please keep them coming. And if you find this broadcast some other time, listen to it and let's know what you feel. And if you feel I'm in error, tell me. If you feel this is good, also say it. Invite your friends and brothers and sisters and members of your family and all your connections to view it, so that we're either in our Facebook channel, the African Town Hall, or YouTube channel, which is also by the same name, the African Town Hall. Thank you. Do have a great time trying to build Nigeria. Nigeria is worth building, is worth building if we are willing. But then if we are not going to be able to build Nigeria, then let's bring it down and leave the matter at that point. We'll meet you again soon. Thank you very much for viewing. Appreciate all of you who have showed up. And this has been what it is on my mind today. And I did not want it to see the next day. I wanted to make sure Nigerians heard it. Goodbye. For now. You hear from me again, certainly, for sure. Because we'll follow this matter until we conclude it.